I'm Maria McCaffrey. I'm Chief Executive of RenewableUK, and you're watching the Business Channel. The green revolution, as we like to call it, is, we'd say, pivotally important. You know, the science is now really irrefutable. If you're a major shareholder in a coal-fired power station, you might still be in a state of psychological denial about it, but all the scientific evidence tells us that carbon dioxide and other noxious gases released into the atmosphere are making the most significant contribution to the global warming problem that's causing our climate to change. So a green revolution and a desperate need to drive down those emissions, reduce our carbon footprint, as we say, we would say is pivotally important. And the leading technology for delivering that is wind energy, where we have 5,000 megawatts, which is roughly equivalent to about 4% of the total UK requirement here. But the best part of it, and this is where we get the real economic benefits, is that offshore, with just over 1,300 megawatts deployed in the UK, not only are we world leaders as having more capacity installed than any other country, we've actually got more offshore wind installed than all the other countries in the world put together. Renewable UK has a vital role to play in building the low carbon economy. New markets don't just happen by themselves. You know, there are different stakeholders, and government is an extremely important one. We have a comparatively new government. Yes, some key individuals have shadowed energy roles for a long time while we had a Labour government, but the fact is we have to have a political will, and we need our government to give us a political and economic framework that makes us a very, very attractive investment option. Now, that's where Renewable UK actually comes into its own, because essentially we are a lobbying organisation. Our primary objective is to try to influence political policy as it's being formulated. And well-known catchphrase, but it has to be understood that policy is made in Whitehall, not Westminster. So we spend a lot of time engaging with government departments and parliamentarians, both in government and in opposition, to press the case, to protect, to promote the interests of the sector we're very, very proud to represent. Before the next 10 to 15 years are out, we will have seen something nearer to £200 billion of private sector investment. And we think Renewable UK, in our lobbying activities and in our media-facing public awareness activities, has had not too small a role in that achievement. The big issue for Renewable UK and government policy in the first 6 months of our new government has been focused on the comprehensive spending review and preserving pledged support for the development of our infrastructure. We're really very pleased with the outcome of the CSR, as we call it, but now we must be focused. We never have time to get complacent or to pat ourselves on the back, because we're now moving into another period of major change on government policy. This government has claimed to be, promised to be, the greenest government ever many, many times. We'd say this passed the first green litmus test, although the chemist in me says litmus is either red or blue, but we'll stick with green for the time being. But we still have a long, long way to go. They have commitment to green. They have commitment to achieving our binding European Union targets, but they also have a huge commitment to carbon reduction. Now, to bring that about, we are about to go into the next big political policy-making objective, which is called the electricity market reform. And we see tremendous opportunity here, but essentially this is about creating a new mix, a new set of market conditions that will bring about, underpin rather than undermine, the transition from a largely thermal generating system based on fossil fuels towards a low carbon one, in which we would confidently expect to see a much, much bigger contribution from renewables and a very significant contribution, perhaps back up to as much as we ever had before, of 30% of all of our electricity coming from nuclear plants, and then the balance in time being absorbed by the least polluting thermal plant fossil fuel options. Never before in my career have I felt that we're busy with the right sort of problems. And that's entirely because we serve a sector that is focused totally on addressing all these major issues, the compelling policy issues of driving down the cost of electricity, saving our planet, and securing our energy independence from the need to be too heavily dependent on imported fossil fuels.